Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Hold on to your hat. Today we have Sean Whalen. If you have not heard of Sean Whalen, that changes now. You will love him or you will hate him. There will be no in between. You have been warned. And there's probably a little bit of language in here, so you've been warned as well. The guy has an interesting story. He has been up, he has been down, he has been back up again. So you are in for a treat. If you missed the previous episode, check out Jesse Halleck. We got into it about how he quit college and struck while the iron was hot in growing a business back in the big cell phone craze, over a decade ago. And it paid off. He built a big business, sold it for, a lot of money. They were generating upwards of $70 million in sales, 250 locations. Now he's back in corporate America because he's still young and has some things he wants to get into. So very interesting story. So if you missed that one, go check it out. Today I published a weekly Whisper email newsletter. I also made it a blog post. But if you want to know how to beat 74% of your competitors, go look up that blog post. I published it. Actually, I wrote it today. I'm recording this episode right now. It's going to go out a day later. So go scroll through May 17th, 2017 is when that was posted. But how to beat 74% of your competitors. And it's not what you think. So I will just leave it at that. One of the things, though, that I get into is talking about the program you're going to hear me talk about a lot, and that's the Make Every Sale course, makeeverysale.com. Within every sale are a bunch of little sales. And if you want to make every sale, you have to make every sale. Professional salespeople, professional anything, leave nothing to chance. You'll measure twice, cut once, right? When I got serious about selling, I began documenting my process and following that process instead of shooting from the hip. I also spent $600 on a 12-week telecourse with a sales trainer. This was back in late 05, early 06. Then I retained him, became his first licensee for $10,000, and it ended up being $1,000 a month. So on top of that, so I was serious about growing, and I did. So the training I'm offering is a fraction of that. I think $600 in today's dollars is, I don't know what, 900 or somewhere around there. So it's obviously going up. I think it's a little more than that, actually. But so for a very little bit more than that, you get lifetime access. We're doing weekly calls right now, 41 plus videos, private Facebook group, real-time interaction. I mean, I'm making videos answering people's questions because the group is still small and I can. So if you want literally customized one-on-one support in an almost real-time basis, you better jump in early because as the group grows, I won't be able to do it, right? But while it's smaller, I have the time and I'm happy to do it. I love doing it. Love teaching. I love helping motivated entrepreneurs, motivated salespeople get better. I'll go do research. I'll pull out my old books, my old binders, and find the answer for you if I don't know it. That's what I love to do. So that's where I want to spend more time because in the group setting like that, it gives me time to write more, gives me time to make podcasts and interviews rather than trying to do a bunch of stuff one-on-one. Because one-on-one, it's just tough to scale that, right? But in groups, I can scale it infinitely, puts food on the table for the family, and lets me do what I love doing, which is helping you. All right, so check out makeeverysale.com, join it, get serious, and grow your sales. Now let's bring on our guest, Sean Whalen. Mr. President, is it 2020 or is it going to be 2024?
2020. Well, we'll see. If Trump can pull it together and make it happen, then I'll give him another 4 years. But not a swing. I already bought the domain, so I own the domain for 2020, so I might as well use it.
Yeah, you can buy both. What the heck, huh?
Yeah.
Well, man, thanks for coming on the show. You are up in Utah, are you not?
Yes, sir, right outside of Salt Lake City.
You've done a fantastic job of, what do we say? Can we say you turned your misery into your ministry in a way?
Sure. mess into my message.
Your mess into your message. I mean, you're very vocal. You're very visible. You're very transparent. But for our listeners that still may not know who you are, would you mind giving a little thumbnail sketch, and then we'll dive into how they can apply that in the rest of their lives?
So I was young, entrepreneur, successful, multimillionaire by my early 20s, involved in the mortgage business, the real estate business. 2008 rolled around, market crashed. I lost millions of dollars. Decided to get divorced at the same time. Basically went through my own little midlife crisis, pity party, whatever. Stuck my head up my ass for a couple of years trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And decided one day after hiring a coach to start posting about it online, and did a post on social media, on Facebook, that ended up going viral, where I talked about my divorce. And since then, it's just been an incredible ride. I've grown a new brand, a new business, all based off the experiences that I've had of being very successful at a young age, dealing with the frustrations of emotional incapacity, through a divorce and through a bankruptcy, and the instabilities that I dealt with, and the lessons that I learned, and ultimately, how I came back. There's lots of people that have crashed that have stayed down, and there's people today that are bitching and moaning about losing millions of dollars in the crash of 2008. And I'm like, that was 9 years ago. What the fuck are you still talking about that for? So my whole message, the entire message of Lions Not Sheep, that was founded a little over a year and a half ago, is in essence that very simplistic message of being a leader, being a lion, not a sheep. And I was a sheep for a while. I hid from a lot of things. I hid from truth. I hid from myself. I hid from the marketplace. I was deathly afraid to post on social media, just based off of the judgments of people that were like, oh, that's the guy that made the millions, lost the millions. He's the guy who, went through the shitstorm and the whole thing. And come to find out, the marketplace is actually really starving for truth. The marketplace is millions and millions and millions of men are frustrated, are dealing with the same shit that I dealt with and went through for, a couple of years. And so I found myself in this really unique position of kind of leading this conversation of how to be a lion, not a sheep.
How would you say what's the difference in how you resurrected, how you structured your business and your life post collapse versus the first time around? Because most people have never built up $1 million business or lifestyle even one time,
right?
But you did it in your early 20s and then you did it again. Were you remarkably the same or like remarkably different? Obviously, as a human being, it sounds like you've evolved, but like the business principles, were they the same?
I mean, economics are economics. Numbers are numbers. Top line, bottom line, P&Ls, they're the same whether you're black, white, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, fat, skinny. It doesn't really matter. Numbers are what they are. But yeah, fundamentally, I built things differently. I built my first business. So, I've owned dozens and dozens of businesses. But the businesses that I did extraordinarily well with, I did them based off of what I thought success was, like what the norm was. And I had to have multiple houses, cars, Rolexes, the whole deal. And this is what success was. And, I was working 20 hours a day because that's what successful people did. All the books that I read, all the great moguls, all the great millionaires and billionaires, it was like grind, go. And then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And so my explanations to my wife were, look, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for the family. I'm doing this for our future. I've got to work. And all the while I was burning myself to the ground emotionally, psychologically, physically, and completely disconnected from her emotionally, where, I'm like, look, you just stay over here and enjoy the big house and do the deal. And I'll be over here working. And at some point in time, I'll arrive. I'll have all the money that I need, and then we can enjoy life. And that didn't work. It didn't work for me. And it didn't work for her. And I ended up burning everything to the ground because I was so unhappy with it. Phase 2 was understanding what I did wrong, or what I didn't do that got me the result that I wanted. So a lot of people see me now, they watch me through social media and they're like, dude, you just play all day long. Like you're riding horses with your kids, or you're racing your truck, or, you're shooting guns. And I'm like, I built a lifestyle and I built a brand and I built a company that would allow me to build everything off of lifestyle. And so now for me, instead of looking at numbers or deals or it's got to be this, this, or this, I look at it, does it fit my lifestyle, which is I want to play. I want to enjoy life. I want to get up every morning and I want to thrive and be excited about what I'm doing, what I'm building, what I'm growing, versus I have to hit these numbers and do this deal and this deal and this deal. You know, a great guy in the marketplace right now who's leading a great conversation in business is Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, I know him personally. I've spoken with him on stage. And, you know, I love what he's doing because he's motivating a lot of people to grab life by the balls and go do stuff. But I wouldn't trade places with Gary for all the money in the world. You know, if Gary makes $30 million this year and he works 22-hour days, I'll trade that for me making $2 million this year and working 2 hours a day and playing with my kids the rest of the time, or traveling or doing what I want to do. So, you know, there's a fundamental difference in what I did before and what I'm doing now. And, you know, I feel like if you offer value to the marketplace, you can be, you know, handsomely rewarded for that. But at the same time, everything that I do, every deal that I do, every business decision that I make, the very first question I look at and ask is, does this fit my lifestyle?
Can somebody just starting out, or somebody that feels stuck, you know, they're in a cubicle, they're in a day job, they don't have a lifestyle, but they want to have a lifestyle. How can they apply that attitude? How can they leverage that to get out of that grind?
A couple different ways. Number one, I see a lot of people that feel like because they're at a salary job or a 9-to-5 job or you know, where they're an employee of someone else, that's it. Like this cubicle and this box of this is what my job description is and this is what I do. You know, there's a lot of CEOs and heads of companies and millionaires and multimillionaires that started in the mailroom and worked their way up and hustled. And I think a lot of people are in a really lethargic state right now where they're not adding the value. If you have a sales team of 5 guys and everybody just hits their quota, they're all the same. I mean, the employer looks at them as the same. They're all equally yoked. They're all providing the same value to the company. Now, if one guy comes out of the freaking gates and blows the fucking numbers out of the water and does 5 times what everybody else does, they're going to look at him and go, whoa, you know, we're thinking about opening up a new division that we need somebody to run. We want you to run the sales team of it, you know, but people don't think that way. We're just trying to hit the status quo to do our job. And that's good enough. Well, it's not good enough because you'll ultimately, you're just a disposable asset to a company. They'll just replace you with somebody else. If you're a fucking superstar, if you do your job, and I don't give a shit if you're the fucking mailman, I don't give a shit if you're building, you know, tables, if you're working at Home Depot, just slinging lumber onto a freaking cart, you do it better than anybody else. You'll be compensated more. You do it better than anybody else. The people that run the company, that manage the company will notice that, and there will be doors open. And it might not even be there. I have a friend who was literally working, funny I say that, he was at Home Depot and he was busting his ass. And this home builder came in and always came in and bought, you know, his supplies and materials from there. And he noticed this guy. And this guy was always hustling. He was always grinding. He's a $15 an hour employee at Home Depot, but he outworked every motherfucker there. And this home builder noticed, and he's like, dude, I want you to come work for me. Come to find out, the dude ends up going on and he ends up becoming a foreman, and he's making 6 figures, healthy 6 figures, simply because he busted his ass at his $15 an hour job. Most people don't think this way. You know, the second answer to that question is to take a risk, take a leap. We're not getting any younger, man. I mean, if you have an idea, if you have a business strategy, a product, something that you want to put into the marketplace, fucking do it. I mean, there's nothing scarier than sitting around not doing something because you're worried about this or you're worried about that. You know, I mean, you've got to take a leap. You've got to take a jump at some point in time. Do it.
Yep. What about the entrepreneur? You know, they got their business. I work with a lot of small businesses, and the owner is the bottleneck because the owner is basically doing everything. You know, it's a 2-3 person company. You know, maybe a 1-person company with some virtual assistants or some contractors they throw work out at. And they're stuck. They're stuck at that 70 grand level, 60 grand level. Maybe they're making 90 grand, you know, but then they got expenses and everything. And they're I don't know, they can't get out of their own way, basically, to get to even 6 figures, let alone 7. You know, what's What's their play?
Very, very simple. And I'll say this, I don't care who you are. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you're importing rubber dog crap from China for the dollar store. I don't care if you're selling cars. It does not matter. Hire a coach. Hire a coach. This is what I do with my clients. I've got clients that make 7 figures. I've got clients that make 6 figures. And 99.99% of them will all tell you the same thing. Like, we didn't do anything radical. What people don't understand is the law of 1 degree. I mean, you make 1 degree change today, and where you are in 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 months, you're in a radically different plane than if you'd have just stayed right here. One of my clients who hired me, I do private coaching, with businesses and entrepreneurs, and he came in and he's running a $2.5 million a year landscape architecture company. So they do landscaping and architecture and management, the whole thing, and just restructuring his time and how he used his time. Within 4 weeks of him coming home, he made $77,000 just by restructuring his time. And you don't typically think that. How do you make money just restructuring your time? Well, he was doing his sales calls. It was like the smallest portion of what he was doing because he felt like he had to manage everything and go to every job site that they were working on to check in on all the employees. And I said, bro, like, this is the reason you have management. Get the fuck out of the way and let them do their job. But dude, no, you don't. Like, do you trust them? Yes. Are they providing for? Yes. And so we literally just shifted his schedule to where he was spending more time driving to different job sites. While I was doing that, he was making his sales calls, where before it was like, maybe I'll do my sales calls if I have time. And he made $77,000 within 4 weeks of being, home from working with me. And so I say that simply because he's the owner of the company and he was standing in his own way. He felt like he had to do everything. And most of my clients stand in the same position. If you're making good 6 figures or 7 figures, you don't get to that by being stupid. Okay. You don't get to that by not having some savvy or having some sort of, adaptability in the business world. What you don't have the ability to is to see what's happening because you're so focused on this. He was a creature of habit and had been doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And that was the norm. That's what had to happen in order for him to do $2.5 million. And I'm like, what if you did this? What if you shift these things up? And so without question, if you're making 6, if you're making 7, if you're making 8 figures and you want to take it to the next level, without question, I would tell you every day of the week, hire a coach, hire a business coach. And the business coach that you're looking for is somebody that's doing it, somebody that's doing what it is that you want. And a lot of people, a lot of my clients look at what I'm doing because I've built that 7-figure business while riding horses, while shooting guns, while doing whatever the hell I want. So they're kind of like, I want that freedom, but I still want to be able to make big bucks. And so as you look for a business coach, you and I both know it's easy to slap a label on your Facebook page and you're now a guru, you're now or whatever. But look at people, watch what they're doing, watch how they're doing it. And if you want what they're doing, if you want the freedom or the money or the structure or the stability or whatever, find someone doing it and then hire them.
Yep. Why don't you think why don't they do it? Are they afraid? I've always said, I think people are more afraid of success than failure.
No one's afraid of that. No one's afraid of success, man. No one's afraid of success. Like, there's no one on the planet that's like, I'm so scared to make millions of dollars. Oh my God, what do I do? Like, shit, I don't know what to do if I have a private jet, so I don't want a private jet. No one's afraid of that shit. The reason people don't do things and the reason we talk about fear is people aren't afraid to fail. Here's why. We've all already done it. Have you failed?
Sure.
Failed? Yeah, I failed so many fucking times. I'm like a pro. I can make a laundry list of like all of the things that I've done wrong. I failed. And every single person listening to this would say the same thing. We've all fucked things up. We've all failed. So I'm so scared of failing. You've already fucking done it. Like, what are you afraid of? You already know what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, and you made it to the other side. So what are you afraid of? What I'm finding is that people are afraid not of failure, not of losing money, not of what if it doesn't work. What people are deathly afraid of is the judgments of other people. They're deathly afraid of quitting their job because mom or dad or whoever's going to go, you went to college for 10 years to get a degree to do it. You're going to throw it all down the tubes to chase a fucking wild dream. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of if they go do the deal and it doesn't work, everyone will laugh. If they go and they do this and all their college buddies or whatever, are like, whatever. That's what people are scared of. Nobody's afraid to fail because we've all already done it.
Yep.
What people are afraid of is the judgments of other people. We're definitely afraid of that. That's why people don't post things on social media. 99.9% of what's on social media is all a lie. It's all bullshit. Because people are afraid to post the truth. They're afraid to post who they really think, what they feel, what they really love, which is why your social engagement, not yours, but 99% of people's social engagement is dog shit, because we all know that you're lying. So why not tell the truth? How did my tribe start amassing and growing and growing and growing? Because I started telling the truth. I started telling people, yeah, I was a dick in my marriage. Like, I emotionally checked out, and here are the things that I did. And I was a dick. And there was no asterisk like, but it was because she did this, or I lost millions of dollars, but it was because he did and he didn't. No, I started telling the truth. I'm like, yeah, I ran really, really fast at a young age and thought that I knew it all.
Yeah.
Too prideful to ask for help. And so I lost everything. People are definitely afraid of the judgments of other. We're not afraid to fail. We've already done that. We've all already lost money here or there or whatever. We're definitely afraid of what people are going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the reason I say I think people are afraid of success, like a guy you talk about that made an extra 77 grand in 4 weeks. I've been around salespeople that hit a big lick and early in the year, right? And instead of doubling down and saying, you know what, I'm going to go triple or quadruple my quota, they frickin' coast.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe they were just lazy.
More money. That's just lazy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're lazy, but people are comfortable, you know, if all of a sudden somebody makes 2 or 3 times more money, if all of a sudden they go from 90 grand a year to $1 million, they're going to have different friends, right? They're not going to be in the same bowling league.
Sure.
All of a sudden it's like they're out of their comfort zone. It's like, so yeah, they would love a jet. They love all that. But I think to a degree, we get comfortable and it's like, oh shit, do I have to start wearing a suit now? You know, who am I to wear a suit? Who am I to have a jet? I'm the third baseman on the softball team. I'm nobody special.
Right. And people will say that all day long. They don't have that or haven't experienced it. I've never met a man who was flat ass broke, who became a millionaire that said, I don't like being a millionaire. I'm afraid of more success. I'm going back to being broke. I've never met a man to say that. But I've met plenty of men standing on third base that are like, oh, dude, I don't know what I'd do if I had a $500,000 a year job. My parents would think I'm weird, and all my friends would think I'm an asshole. And
exactly.
Those are the dudes that are talking about, like, I'm
right.
afraid of success. The dudes that aren't successful. I've never met a dude making 7, 8, 9 figures who said, I'm scared of more. I'm going back. No one does that.
Oh, I totally agree. And I'm directing this at the people that haven't made it, right? I want to help them get through that hurdle, get off of third base, right? And say, you know what? If you love softball, you can make $1 million and still be on the softball team. It's all right. You're just going to have the nicest bat on the team.
Sweet. And everybody's going to borrow it. Use it.
You know, we want you to make everybody new bats.
We want better bats, so go fucking make $1 million, man.
You know what? They can all stop drinking Bud Light. You can bring them some custom, homemade brew, custom award-winning brews, micro brews, and everybody will love you.
Yep.
But they're stuck. I mean, I think they're literally that, and maybe it's not success per se, but they're afraid of venturing into the unknown, right? It's like, I've known this world. I shop at Target. I know where everything is. I know everybody. And then they're going to have 5 new friends, right? Like Jim Rohn would say. And how do you smack somebody out of that thinking?
Really simple. Really simple. It's the simplest thing. Like, people will laugh at this. People, oh, there's got to be more to it. Where's Sean's secret sauce? Where's the secret envelope? And I'm going to tell you straight up, like, there's one phrase that I will say that people who have followed me, who have worked with me, ask every one of my clients, I say the exact same thing every time. If you're busted right now and you want to not be busted, if you're making 60 grand a year and you want to go to $500,000, if you're making $500,000 and you want to go to 5, the universal principle, it's the same in business, it's the same in life, it's the same in relationship. Tell the fucking truth. Tell the truth. What does this mean? I don't lie. Bullshit. bullshit. Because if you were telling the fucking truth, you'd be free. You'd be able to talk about where you want to go, what you want to do, but you don't. You suppress it all. Why? Because my wife might get uncomfortable by me talking about my crazy harebrained ideas. So what do? I suppress all that shit and I lie. Tell the fucking truth. Like, I don't know. You show me somebody in the online space. You show me somebody in the social media world that's growing, that's rapidly expanding, that's adding value. And I'll show you somebody that's telling you something radically different than what everybody else is saying. And if 95% of people are full of shit lying, what are they doing? But people are deathly afraid of it. They're deathly afraid of the truth. We'd rather live in mediocrity. We'd rather stay in our stories. We'd rather stay in the bullshit. We'd rather stay in the house. We'd rather stay as a third base guy drinking the cheap ass beer than telling the fucking truth and creating the lifestyle that we want. Period. Like, every single one of my clients that come in, like, we rip you open to what the truth really is. What do you really want? The hardest question, you want to know the hardest question to ask another human being? What do you want? Very first question, I hit up any one of my clients. They're all online. They're all very, very public. Very first question I ask them is, what do you want? One of the hardest questions any human being will ever answer is, what do you want? It's fascinating. I've spent literally hours diving into that question with clients because they think they want this and they want this. And it's all based around what you and I have been programmed to believe, which is be the third base guy, drink the shitty beer, play with the 4, 5, 6-year-old bat. Why? Because that's what everybody else does. And so we stay stuck in that. And meanwhile, we're bubbling up on the inside. Meanwhile, we're like, fuck, I want more. I want to do more. I want to launch this deal. I want to go hard. I want to talk to my boss about this idea that I have, but I can't because that's not normal and that's not what you do. And so what do? You lie. And what happens? Who's the only person that gets hurt? Who's the only person that gets frustrated? Who's the only person that gets fat? Who's the only person that fucking has like a mental breakdown and needs like antidepressants and shit because they're living this lifestyle that's like completely mind fucking themselves? You. Why? Mm-hmm. Because you're worried about telling the truth because of what other people will say. Yep. You want to become a millionaire, tell the truth. If you want to become a business owner, if you want to leave your job and start a business, tell the truth. It sounds insane. People are like, dude, there's got to be more. There's got to be a system. You have to be able to plug in and algorithms and think. No, tell the fucking truth. Tell the fucking truth. Watch what happens.
I thought I needed artificial intelligence from Facebook Messenger to go to a landing page, to a ClickFunnels, to a Tripwire, to a downsell, to a cross promotion, to a webinar.
It's such bullshit. That's the thing, is that's what everybody's buying into, is that idea and that philosophy. And, you know, at the end of the day, like I teach what I know. Like, there's a lot of people that will teach you what they think they know or what they heard in a seminar or whatever. I teach what works for me. What my clients get from me is what's worked for me. There's a lot of people that I don't take on as clients. There's a lot of people that don't fit with my philosophy and my methodology because it's not normal. And what I do is not normal because most people are not capable of telling the truth. And so telling the truth is not normal, right? Like being vulnerable, sharing power. Like, this is the thing that people just don't understand is when you say the word vulnerable, when you think the word vulnerable, you think scary, right? You think weakness. I have to share with everybody my weakness. I have to share with everybody the deep, dark secrets that no one knows. Think about the person who's deathly afraid of public speaking. And they go up and they're like, holy shit, I have to do this presentation and there's no way to get out of it. And they go do it. What do 99% of the people say when they come down? That was fucking cool. That was pretty fun. Like, holy crap. I was so scared. Look at my armpits. I'm so sweaty. I got tacos in my arm. Woo! How many people get down and are like, I will never do that again. I'm moving to the moon. You're vulnerable. What happens? What happens when you tell the truth? People start going, whoa, what the hell? Like, what did Wes just say? Oh, shit. And then mom will call and everybody will call and be like, bro, you okay? You all right, man? That was kind of crazy. Guess what will happen on the other side? People will start messaging you going, dude, I didn't know that about you. Like, let me tell you what happened to me. Mm-hmm. Wow. Like, that's powerful shit. And guess what happens the more you do that? Guess what people do? They start liking you. They start trusting you. They start connecting with you. They start seeing you as a real human being. Or we can just do our cheesy Olin Mill pictures that real estate agents do. Sell your house with me, and like do your tripwire and your click funnel and buy the course and do the thing and have the background and and then spend a whole bunch of money to push some fake ass fucking message out to the world and compete with the other 9,000 douchebags that are doing the same thing. I have over 300 million views of my videos, and I've done every single one with this. This is my office. Do you see a green screen? You see any fancy ass film studio? Nope. Every single video that I've ever shot has been shot with this. And yet, you could combine most of the online gurus, combine all of their videos, multiply it by 10, and they still can't touch what I've done with an iPhone. And I just share real life. What's happening? What's going on? What am I thinking? What am I feeling?
So when you, after the crash and burn, did you get into a related industry that you were in, or did you totally reinvent yourself?
So I was in real estate. I was doing real estate. I continued to do real estate even after the market crashed and the whole thing, because it's what I had done for 10 years. It's what I was good at. And my social media started blowing up. I hired a coach. And the reason I hired a coach is because I was angry. And it wasn't to make more money. It wasn't to have more sex. It was because I was angry. And I wanted to figure out, I had this really, really bad relationship with my ex-wife, and it was affecting me. It was affecting the kids. And I just wanted to sort all this shit out. I was so angry from the divorce and the bankruptcy, and just stuck my head up my ass and was just mad. But I kept flipping houses, and I kept doing that. And I was doing it because I was good at it. I wasn't passionate about it. I wasn't fired anymore. And one day I went out to lunch. I took one of my friends who's here in Salt Lake City.
Can you get a little bit closer? You just got real low again.
Young guy, very, very successful. And I took him out to lunch, and I said, dude, I want to ask you about capital stacks, because I was wanting to start buying some apartment complexes. And this is a dude who's extremely wealthy. There's money, and then there's private jet money. He's private jet money. But so I respect him. I respect what he's done in the business world. And I knew that he would give me good, credible information. As we're sitting there having a beer over lunch, he's like, dude, look, can I be like really brutally honest with you? I said, yeah. And he's like, get out of real estate. He's like, dude, ride this wave. Like, ride what you're experiencing right now. People fucking love you. Like, you're sharing messages and getting millions of views, hundreds of thousands of engagements on your posts. Like, you're literally leading this conversation of revolution. You have private clients. You have people paying you like a lot of money for your services to teach them how to do the same thing you've done. And like, something happened in that meeting. Like, my whole mind just blew up. I had never thought about not doing real estate. I wasn't passionate about it anymore, but I was good at it. I could just keep flipping houses and doing deals and whatever, but I wasn't like on fire, which I had been. And that one meeting like shifted my entire mindset. And I literally started dumping all of my properties, selling everything off. And I decided to go all in with Lions Not Sheep and building Lions Not Sheep. And I haven't looked back. I mean, it's been radically powerful for me to do it because I'm passionate about it.
So you were still doing real estate, but I'm just trying to understand the sequence of events, because I like to remove objections if I can, because somebody's going to listen to this and say, yeah, he was making money on real estate still, and he was still in control. And, so you were doing deal, you're flipping houses, you started venting, right? Just being transparent on social media, just to vent, right? Just to
tell my story. I was just telling my story.
And then that started resonating. And then the people start asking you, hey man, can you coach me? And did you kind of just start figuring out, $500, $1,000. I mean, to just start piecing a coaching program together, and then that kind of morphed?
I didn't have a program. I started with real estate. People started hiring me to teach them how to do real estate.
Oh, okay.
They started hiring me to do that. And I was like, I was just telling people all of these things. And some of my friends were like, dude, why don't you coach? Like, why don't you help people? And I was like, coaching, like, I hired a coach, but like, I'm not a coach, right? I'm not that guy. And I'm just not, whatever. And I watched a podcast with Gary Vaynerchuk last night where he talked about kind of becoming a social profile. And he really has only done this over the last 2.5 years. And he's like, before that, I thought it was just presumptuous. He's like, I felt like an ass. Like, I was a business owner. I was a business builder. Who was I to take the stage and to talk to 20,000 people kind of a thing? I felt the same way. Like, okay, cool. I've been good at real estate. I've had these social things go viral. And yeah, lots of people like what I'm saying, but who am I to coach? And then all of a sudden I started like resonating with the value proposition, the value exchange. And that's where I started doing more and more coaching. And that was what was like really causing me to thrive, what I really felt good about. And that was like what was lighting me on fire, was sharing more and more truth, doing more and more coaching with people. And then it started getting personal, where people were like, hey, I want to hire you to help me, in my life. And so I decided to launch a Lions Not Sheep experience like I had gone through a couple of years earlier. And I did that, and it was like, it just started resonating. Like any other entrepreneur with a new idea, with a new business, you start testing things, you start experimenting with things, you start seeing what you like, what you don't like, what sells, what doesn't sell. Sells, that's not a word. And that's what I started doing with coaching. And then all of a sudden I just really found a passion for it. So I don't have websites that are like, buy my coaching program, buy my package. I haven't done any of that. I don't want to do any of that. I'm very much a one-on-one personal guy that companies, entrepreneurs, business owners look to and hire. It's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to roll out all kinds of massive programs that are, $297 and then $997 and then $1297 and then $40. And then I just wasn't interested in doing any of that. So it started growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was where my passion was. And I was just flipping houses because it was making money. And I knew that I could make money doing anything. And it just, having that conversation with my buddy was like, dude, just start doing this. Like, right. Like, this is where your passion is. I see it. I feel it. Mm-hmm. I could teach you how to go buy, 1,000 doors for 250 unit apartment complexes, which is what I wanted to do. But I don't think that's where you should go. I don't think that's where your passion is. And having somebody that I respected at that level say that to me, it opened up my mind. It almost gave me permission. That's really what I tell a lot of people is like, that's what a client does, is it gives you permission. Or what a coach does. A coach gives you permission to be able to go down these different avenues and do these different things that you would otherwise be hung up on. Yeah. That's ultimately what he did, is he gave me permission to leave real estate behind and follow the passion.
Man, I was going to ask, it seems, I had a guy on years ago, an early episode, and, he said he was much more of a fan of heading in the right direction versus being too caught up on having the exact goal. Because I see a lot of people get stuck on goal setting, and I'm picking it up from you, and I picked it up from many people that, the old Gary Halbert, motion beats meditation. You were moving. Maybe you didn't have a clear goal, but you were moving in the right direction. And maybe, you got 360 degrees. You were at least in the right, 45 degree sort of vector, right? Maybe you bounced around a little bit, but would you say that's a valid statement? Get going in the right direction, and you'll refine the goal.
I didn't call a company and say, okay, here's my coaching logo, and I need letterhead, and I need a website. Dude, I'm revamping my website right now because literally I haven't done a single thing with it in a year and a half. I literally don't even know how to log into it. There's nothing on there that's new. It's the same shit that's been on there literally for a year and a half. So what people get hung up on is what one of your first questions was like the old business that I built versus the new business. The old business was like get the logo, do the deal, build out this huge website, have this huge sales team, and then we'll run, and then we'll go make a ton of money. Where now it's just like people were approaching me. I was like, sure, I can do this, or sure, I can do that, or that fits my lifestyle, or yeah, I'll take this client on, or I'll do that, or I'm going to do a Lions Not Sheep experience and see how that goes. And I know that I'm capable of doing it. It scared me to do it because I'd never carried a group of men for 3 days in that intense of an environment. But I'm like, there's nothing I can't fucking do. So let's go do this and let's start trying stuff. And this is where so many people get hung up on is it's just, I call it mental masturbation. You're just sitting there freaking jerking off all day long, not doing anything. Like, go do something. Like, put a call out to the marketplace. Ask people what they want. It's like the most insane thing that I'm finding a lot of clients. I'm like, do you even know what your clients want? And they're like, well, ask them. Ask them what they want. So I started asking me, what do you guys want? I literally did a Facebook post and said, if I did a 3-day event for men in the Utah mountains, how many of you would be interested in it? And there were a couple hundred dudes. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I literally went to ClickFunnels and I did a little page and I shot a little video. I was like, all right, here's what it is. And it was literally just an order form, which I barely know how to turn my computer on and off. And for me to put this together, I mean, there was no marketing, there was no anything. It was as generic and basic as you could get. And I was like, okay, here's a sign-up page for you guys. And they filled out this long application that I put on there and all these questions and the whole thing. And so I just started calling guys. I had no sales team. I just started calling them, going, all right, here's the deal. This is what it is. Tell me more. Why should you come? Why, and I started interviewing guys to see, because I knew who the avatar was that I wanted. It was somebody like me. It was somebody who had what looked like the right life, had what looked like the perfect life, but inside they were ready to fucking blow their brains out. Inside they were just completely demoralized. Like, why don't I wake up thriving? Why don't I wake up happy? Why do we have the same sex the same way? Why do we go to the same fucking movies and go eat at the same place? And why is life just that? And so I started interviewing guys. And the very first guy that I called and I interviewed, I'm talking to him and it just seemed like the right fit. And I said, all right, so here's the deal. I'm going to do this event on these dates. I just literally looked at my calendar, said, I'm open this weekend. Let's do it in like a month. I said, it's this much. And he's like, great, I'm in. And I'm like, all right, cool. What's your credit card number? I didn't have a payment processing thing or anything. I didn't know how to even process credit cards. Gives me the credit card. I'm calling my coach. Okay, what do I do? And it morphed into that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is it wasn't this idea where I was just going to sell somebody a book or a tape or a DVD that I white labeled off somebody else. I was like, I'm going to give these guys me. I'm going to share with them what I've done over the last 3 years to go from darkness to understanding the fucking darkness and thriving in it. And it worked phenomenally. And the guys who came through had massive, massive, massive life-changing breakthroughs. And that inspired me to do more and to do more. And it's just really me giving me. This is where I think a lot of people go wrong, is they try and give people this idea of who they are, or this idea of what works, or this idea of whatever. I learned in a seminar one time, and I mean, you see this all the time. It's like Instagram. 19-year-olds making millions of dollars, teaching other people how to make millions of dollars. And all they're doing is teaching people how to make millions of dollars, selling courses to make millions of dollars. And none of them have made millions of dollars before. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what most of the coaches in the marketplace are doing, is, they're broke trying to teach people about how to not be broke because they went to a Grant Cardone thing or bought a book. You know what I mean? So I'm teaching guys, and I fully believe that the reason my business is growing, the reason Lions Not Sheep is thriving the way that it is because I'm just teaching people what I'm doing, what I'm physically doing every day. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a training on social media and how to use it in your business. And I'm literally sharing like what I've done over the last 2.5 years to build a tribe of 300,000+ and 300 million views. Exactly what I do, like how I do my videos, from cameras to this, to the whole thing. Like, I'm sharing with everybody exactly what I've done. So it's not a mystical, magical, I read in a book one time, but I think that's the most authentic way to teach. It's the most authentic way to run a business. And it works. It works for me. So.
Amen. All right, man. Usually I ask people like, what's parting words of wisdom, but I don't know. I think you gave 37.
my parting words of wisdom are really, really simple, man. Tell the truth. I know that sounds so simple to some people, and at the same time, it probably is quite perplexing to many people listening right now. They're like, what does that mean? But yet it's so fucking simple. We've been programmed to lie. We've been taught since we were little children to lie. And we carry that into adulthood, and we're literally leading mediocre lives because we're afraid to tell the truth. And there's nothing more freeing, there's nothing more liberating that I've done in the last 20 years of my life than finally arriving at the point where I decided to start telling the truth. My business is on fire. My entire world has just exploded since I started telling the truth. And the truth sometimes is hard. The truth many times is very scary. It's very deep. It's very real, but it's you. And what the marketplace is thriving and just starving for is truth. You want real people, not ClickFunnels itself, but like funnels and things and this and that. Everybody's got them. Those are easy. You can pay somebody to do that shit for you. Can you legitimately tell a story? Can you give people your truth and connect with them?
You just got quiet again.
That's the determining factor. Can you connect with people by sharing your truth? Are you willing to go deep enough into yourself to connect with other human beings through your truth?
I just posted that yesterday. I said, are people really, is it FOMO? Or do they have fear of missing out, or do they have fear of going deep?
It goes back to the same thing I talked about earlier. People aren't afraid of it. Your stories are your stories. It doesn't matter. It's already done, right? my bankruptcy's done. Like my losing millions of dollars is done. People can talk about it and throw it in my face. It's like, we already fucking know all that. Like, what's your point, right? But what people don't understand is like when you can freely talk about these things, when you can freely talk about you, so many people were like closet Donald Trump voters. They wouldn't put a sign in their front yard. They wouldn't make any posts on social media. Why? Because everybody would freak out, and mom and dad and cousin and the neighbors would think I'm fucking weird. And so you just lived in this little bubble of like, I can't say anything because everybody else. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like, once you free yourself and you're like, I literally don't give a fuck. It's the most freeing, liberating feeling on the world. And that's what everybody truly wants. Everybody wants to feel free. How do you how are you being a good father by lying? How are you being a good CEO, a good business, a good leader by lying? How are you being a good husband by lying? Well, I don't really lie. Are you telling the fucking truth? No. Okay, then you're lying. It's really that simple.
So where should we send people, man? Where do you want them to go to find you?
Just Facebook, whatever. You can look me up. I'm not hard to find. SeanWhalen.com will be up again soon. LionsNotSheep.com. We've actually got a really, really, really cool thing launching tomorrow with Lions Not Sheep. That's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime deal. So tune into Lions Not Sheep. But LionsNotSheep.com, SeanWhalen.com, or just put my name in the search bar on top of Facebook, and you'll see a whole bunch of craziness.
President 2020. They'll find you. Very nice, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Sean. It's been great.
You bet. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, dude. Have a great day.
See ya. You too.
What'd I tell you, huh? Got right to it. I mean, that dude's as real as it comes, right? Real as they get. That's why I wanted to have him on the show. Good dude. He does not pull any punches. He doesn't mince any words. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. You know what? I'm cool with that. We have too many people that don't speak the truth, right? That aren't clear, that are too ambivalent. And a lot of times it's on purpose, right? They want to create confusion and chaos, and that just doesn't cut it. I love his how honest he was, talking about how he had the incorrect vision of success, grinding it out. I love he talks about, how he wouldn't trade places with Gary Vee, and I wouldn't either. Man, that dude's running around. I don't know, man. I got 7 kids. And it took me until probably the 6th and the 7th to really realize how precious life is, how quickly they grow. I just got back from a week in Argentina. And I've got a lot of pictures, shot a couple of videos I'm going to be sharing soon. But, my son, my oldest, was he spends every semester at a different country. The college is called Minerva. Their first year, they spent in San Francisco, but then last semester he was in Berlin, or 2 semesters ago. This past semester he was in Buenos Aires. Next semester, the fall of 2017, he'll be in Seoul, Korea. And, he wanted me to come visit. He wanted to hang out an extra week after class ended and just take in the sights. And I went with him. I just flew down for a week. And we toured Buenos Aires, we took in shows, we stayed up late, we slept in, we ate empanadas, ate great steaks, drank great Malbec wine, which I love. We flew down to Patagonia, we hiked up a mountain, we drove down and hung out at this glacier, took a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, and just, took in everything. But I was, with like 2-week notice, I was able to fly. I mean, it was a 24-hour trip to get there. Good grief. But in total travel with layovers and stuff. But, flew down for a week. And, I brought my computer. I checked messages when we had it. But, 2 days, I didn't check messages at all. Most days, I'd spend an hour catching up on things. But that was it. And I don't think I spent an hour, honestly, each day. And the business was fine, right? So I've built, and I want to grow, right? I'm not done, and I'm not even close to done. I'm ratcheting things up, but still, it's within my lifestyle. I don't want to own the New York Jets like Gary Vaynerchuk, right? I don't want that hustle, fly all over the country. I wouldn't mind having his influence, right? Being able to cut big deals. Some of that is attractive, but you know what? As soon as I finish this recording, I'm going to jiu-jitsu. I mean, I'm able to take 2 to 3 hours out of my day, 5 to 6 days a week, and go follow this new habit, I don't know, hobby, passion. It's a habit now of mine. And because I had that lifestyle. Yes, I could grind it out and hustle more and, I don't know what, drink Red Bull energy drinks and grind it out more and make more money, or not, build the lifestyle. And so you'll see Sean, he's doing both, right? He's building a big business, making a name for himself, but still around his lifestyle. So hats off to him for making that happen. It's unfortunate he had to go through such depths of hell, right, to get there. But at least it was not for naught. He learned, he applied, and he grew from there. So, that's awesome. I love what he talks about, understanding the law of 1 degree, making these small incremental changes. And I've always said, we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5. Everybody wants the quick fix. I just had an email today from a friend of mine, a Facebook message. He's asking about web design and automation, and I just think I just need this. Just narrow it down. Just do ClickFunnels and simple, fire and forget. And it's like, dude, that doesn't exist. If a fire and forget business, launch it and leave it business existed, that truly made you money, and you could set it up in an hour or a day, it would be a $10 million product. I mean, it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. Anything worth doing is going to be difficult. Were you built for comfort or were you built for greatness? That's it. That's the question you have to answer. And, in America, we're all about the comfort. And, you got to get after it. Anything worth doing, you got to get after it. I have this lifestyle now because I worked hard for decades. I worked hard for nearly a decade on Infusionsoft and Entreport and HubSpot now, creating training tutorials and blog posts and videos and mastering the sale so I could make sales that created recurring income for me. Now I'm getting after it in jiu-jitsu. It's not something you can speed up. You got to put in the time. It's literally 1 degree every day. I get 0.5% better, 1% better in an area. Maybe 2% better on something finally clicks. But maybe that 2% jump today was because for 3 days I had 0. So, are you designed for comfort or for greatness? Make up your mind. And if it's for greatness, then quit your whining. Do the work. Okay? As I mentioned before, go back and listen to these podcasts. Go back and listen to Sean. I listen to everything at double time. So you can listen twice, and it's still no more time than if you listen once. All right? But you can listen to it twice. You can comprehend. And by doing it twice, you're going to get more information. More will sink in. I love his advice, his recommendation. He does things on his iPhone. I mean, so technology and costs are not an issue. He's overcoming all the typical BS excuses and objections you might give. Get out there and get it done. Find a coach. Find out where you're weak. Hire somebody to help you become great in that area. And then once you are, move on, right? Go to the next. You'll always have a weakness, right? Because you turn your greatest weakness into your strength, then, okay, your previous strength is now the weakness. Go back and work on that. So always be looking to surround yourself with better people. I'm in masterminds. I'm in free masterminds. I'm in very expensive masterminds. And I recommend you do the same. If you can't find one, start one. If you can't afford one, start your own. If you can almost afford one, then stretch a little. Join the one that costs a little bit more. It makes you a little bit more uncomfortable because I promise you'll stretch and you'll reach it and you'll overcome it and you'll look back a year from now and laugh at yourself for thinking, man, I used to worry about that amount of money. Okay. If you think that's me, cool. Go to the Contact Us page. Let's set a time to talk. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. If I'm not, I'll help you find the one that is. If it's sales training, as I keep mentioning, if it's affordable, lifetime access to good, proven, tested, transferable sales tips. And we get into marketing. I was helping a guy just this morning with his email that he's sending out to reignite a cold list. Past customers, clients he actually did projects for. He's a tech guy. He's not a marketer. And he's like, hey, I got to fire up my list again. So we're helping him craft a reignite email sequence. So that's the kind of things we're getting into. So it's makeeverysale.com. Join now while the group is still small. If you want personal access to me at about a 1/100th of the price you're going to pay normally. All right. Thanks for listening. Please share this. Please give comments. You'd be surprised how few people do. Good grief. Leave a review, 5 stars. It does help. I do notice. I will thank you. So, thanks for doing that. And remember to sell different.